Hi, my name is Delila Kidanu and I am the co-founder and COO at KOA. That's tough. I would say that I'm very curious. In everything that I do, I'm always trying to find out why things happen or how they work, and I think that's a really big part of my personality. I think failure can always be a good thing. I think even in running a company or doing anything that you're trying to do that's rather big or challenging, you will come across a lot of failures. For me, as long as I have that belief and that trust in what I'm doing, I'm willing to fail day on day until I make it work. I actually am very fond of challenging myself. This year, a group of friends and myself, we challenged ourselves to run our first marathon. We'll be doing our second marathon next year. I think every day when you're working in a startup and trying to figure it out and trying to figure out how things work, it is a challenge. And I think for someone like me who's interested in learning but also very curious, that the challenge is also a really exciting part of the journey. I think you always have these very pivotal moments in your career, right? And I don't know if it's so much as an accomplishment or more like a place and positioning. So I had the opportunity to work in Brussels early on in my career, so working very closely at the European Commission, European Parliament, seeing kind of how all of that works and comes together. And I think being in that position, working directly with members of Parliament for the whole, for across Europe, you kind of start to think that I'm here and I'm doing this for Europe, but I'm actually Ethiopian, I'm African, and that the contribution I'm making on a European level is the same contribution I want to have at home. And I think for me that was very pivotal because it's what drove me to come back home. And it's what drove me to be very bullish on figuring out how do we improve our continent, how do we improve our countries, how do we improve ourselves as individuals. And so I think that experience really shaped who I ended up being now and also the trajectory that I'm on with my career. My leadership philosophy, I believe as a leader, you have to be someone who people can trust, but you also have to be someone who is pushing people beyond their means. For me, I try to push my team every day to do things that they don't think that they can do or they feel scared about, because I think it's only in situations where you're scared or maybe a bit frightened to take action where you grow the most. And for me, the growth in individuals is the most important. I think the COO role and kind of managing a company is a difficult task as is. For me, I think the hardest part is really how you translate the kind of business side to a more human side. Because for me, the team is everything. And when the company, is doing great, you can always, push that greatness to the team. Times are tough and the market is tough. It also impacts the team. And so for me, that's been the hardest part, because figuring out the company, there's resources, there's experts, there's the internet, there's people who've come before you, but managing emotions, managing people, and how they look up to you to lead them, I think that's been a very big challenge for me and something that I've really had to grow in. I like to exercise. I like to be outdoors. I do a lot of running. I like just hanging out with people, very relaxed. No, not really. I think people would be very surprised to know that I'm pretty good at basketball, even though I'm really short. I used to play a lot, but secret talent, no, not yet. It's pending. In the last year, I've spent a lot of time trying to read and understand about women in business, especially women in the tech space. And so I've been reading a lot of Brené Brown. She has a lot of books and articles and research on, what does it mean to be a woman in the space? How does the way that you conduct yourself reflect in how people interact with you? So that's been very eye-opening for me. I think there's also a lot of Harvard studies about it, and I think that awareness has been very enlightening this year and has really helped me and also understand, why certain things happen the way that they do. And so it's been very great. I recommend her completely. I think as a woman going into tech, you just do it. I think there's no set path or no one way to get into the tech kind of space. And I think once you're there, you really need to make sure that you are making your presence known. And I think in general, as women, we make ourselves as small as possible. You want to fit into that box, but there's room for us, and there's room for you to be who you are, to share your story, to share your experiences. And I think something I wish I did very early on is be more open with the challenges and the experiences that I was going through, because it's only now, I think we're 2.5 years down the line, where I feel like I'm finally ready to open up and have these discussions where I find myself having some fantastic conversations with my counterparts, some other females in the ecosystem, but also just general people in the tech space. And I think we shouldn't be shy to do that. Hi, my name is Delila Kidanu, and this is Captains of Industry.